This might be a weird place to start a vlog, but we're gonna try it anyway. Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and I'm here to tell you that I'm about to do a project in June. Actually, two projects. One of them you know about. It's the Queer Lit Readathon. I do it every June. This year it's a month-long event, which means it's happening from June 1st through 30th, and that means it starts tomorrow because today is May 31st. The second project that I'm going to do in conjunction with that project is basically trying to give myself some balance. Because when I do a readathon, I do a lot of reading. As you might imagine, that's kind of the point, but that also means that I don't move a lot, which is detrimental for my physical and mental health. So, while hosting this readathon, I'm also going to try to walk 300,000 steps. If you do the math, that's 10,000 steps a day. That number is just a number that was made up by a company that made pedometers. And as it turns out, as long as you get like 7,500 steps a day, you're doing pretty good. But I want to do more than that because I'm extra. In fact, I kind of want to do even more than that and up the goal to like 350,000 steps, but we'll see how the month goes. The reason I want to do this is May has been a kind of bad month for me, just health-wise. Like, I've gotten back to going to the gym, which, by the way, if you take 3 months away from going to the gym and you go back, it's like you've never been there before and you don't feel physically fit whatsoever, which sucks. And then the weather's just been kind of terrible. We have this saying here, it's January, whereas June gets weirdly cold for no reason, but I think it happened in May this year, and I just didn't want to get out of bed, which means I didn't move a lot, which means that I'm not feeling great. So I decided to stop here in the woods on my morning walk to tell you about the plans for starting tomorrow, and I'm going to take you along as a little bit of a reading and walking vlog. For reference, if I can be arsed to do my morning walk, it gives me 5,224 steps. However, the problem has been the past, I don't know, 3 weeks, the whole month, who knows. I just don't want to get up in the morning and do it. And then after sitting all day, I definitely don't want to get up and do anything besides go to my gym classes because I actually really love those. When they don't leave me in so much pain that I can't move the next day, which also is a problem that happened this month. There was a whole like 3 or 4 days where I didn't want to move because my legs hurt from going to the gym. So this is just me trying to do basically a big reset. I've got a spreadsheet and everything, and it's starting tomorrow. Well, I try to read at least 13 queer books, probably more. Something I've done to help me out during the week is I've set up all these alarms to basically get up and just, you know, go do a chore or go for a little walk while I'm working, and then I throw my phone over there, so I have to get up. Speaking of my TBR, let's talk about it. This isn't all of it because 2 of the books are audiobooks that are on my phone, and one of them is still coming in as a whole from the library, but we have the Under the Idolatries, which is one of the group reads, The Skin and Its Girl, another group read, Black on Both Sides, which is what I'm using for Black History, The T in LGBT, which is what I'm using for International, Queer 13, which is an anthology and has a number in the title, 13, extra bonus points for me, Page Not Found, which is for mental health and continued, Tarnished Are the Stars for both rainy day read and night, if I happen to just read it at night, Nothing Ever Just Disappears, which I'm reading for immigrants, and I'm So Glad We Had This Time Together, which I'm reading for graphic. I also have Never Whistle at Night out, so I might use that as my night book and another anthology if I'm able to get to it on time. Oh no. But I've also taken out Small Game, which is for Great Outdoors. And I have a hold on Kaikia, which should come in within the next couple of weeks, so hopefully that happens, because that's for both non-European mythology and magic. The 13th square on the bingo board is Creepy Queers, and the book that I'm waiting for from the library, it's been in transit to my branch for a few days now, is It Came from the Closet, which is another anthology about horror and queerness and the intersections of that, and I'm really excited for it. Hi, it's been June 1st for over 19 hours and I haven't updated you, mostly because last night I got a little bit sick and I wasn't feeling great, so today I spent a ton of time napping because I didn't sleep well. And also the weather has just been real garbage, so if this were last month, this would be about the time where I would tell you that I didn't get the things I wanted to get done today done, and since it's June 1st, I did the things. Firstly, I'm almost halfway through the first of our group reads, which is Under the Idolatries. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's about this girl growing up in Nigeria in the 60s and then the 70s, because it goes over a decent amount of time. That was a time frame where they were having a civil war, and all of that kind of tore the family apart, and then she found this girl, and they had feelings for each other, and they were found out, and we're still going through the ramifications of that whole situation. Once I felt well enough to actually leave the house, I actually took this with me to a restaurant and had a really nice meal, which was good. Something nice and filling and vegan and delicious and perfect for a gross day like today. And then as one of the ways to get in some of my steps, I went grocery shopping, and the rest of the ways I've gotten in my steps today, because I've just passed my 10,000 steps for the day, is watching things on the TV and stepping in place or walking around the room. It feels really dorky to say, but that's the way I was gonna get the steps done today, so that's what I did. Good morning, it's Sunday, which means a couple of things for me. First thing being I need to film my weekly wrap-up, which I already did. I do that first thing in the morning. Secondly, I have a dance class I go to, and as long as I walk there, I do the class, and I walk back, I tend to have over my 10,000 steps for the day, and I'm sitting at 11,500 and something, so that part, good. Have I read anything yet today? No, but it's still before noon, so I've got plenty of time. Yesterday I got up to page 214 before I needed to go to sleep, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm interested to see how it's going to go, honestly. After that, I'll probably go right into our other group read, just get that off my list. I'm prioritizing, obviously, my library books because they have due dates. And I look like this not only because I'm sweaty from my dance class, but because I had to walk home in the rain. So I'm gonna shower. I'm going to do the captions for my weekly wrap-up video, so that can go up. And then I might just chill out a little bit and then get some reading done. I woke up this morning thinking that it was going to be raining because that's what the forecast told me yesterday, and it turns out that it wasn't going to be raining until after I had the opportunity to go for my walk. So I went for my walk, which you just saw clips of. It was lovely. It was great. Now the weather is doing this thing where it's raining out the back door, but it's not quite raining out the front of the house yet, which is always a fun thing to look at. Yesterday, before going to sleep, I finished my first book, and I started my second book, so I'm into the second group read, which is The Skin and Its Girl. I've only read the first chapter so far, so I'm not that far in. However, what I've found out so far is our protagonist, or at least the person that is relaying all of the information, is this person who was born to a mother who had just recently divorced the father and was going to be given up for adoption. However, when she was born, she stopped breathing, and then the doctors realized that she was actually alive and her skin turned blue. This was happening at the same time that a building back in Palestine that used to be owned by her family, but was ultimately sold by her grandmother in an act of betrayal, was bombed. And this building used to be the soap factory that their family owned for generations. And there was this discussion going on in the family as to whether or not the building is gone because the child exists, or the child exists because the building is gone. This is all super interesting. I feel like there's going to be a lot of talk of folklore in this, because there's already been some talks of folklore in this, and I'm excited to continue. And I'm doing laundry. And I'm excited to continue, which I'm finally going to do now that I've put some coffee in my face, because I need that before I can actually focus on anything. Good morning. Yesterday did not go as planned. I am still feeling really sick. I don't know what's wrong with me, and I spent a lot of yesterday going through my usual things when I'm not feeling great, like making sure I get good food and water, take some vitamins, move my body, had some paracetamol. I'm sure I did something else, and then after I exhausted all of those options, I had a 2-hour nap, which is just not a usual thing for me, especially since I had 8 hours of sleep before that, 2-hour nap, and then I had 8 hours of sleep last night, and now I'm starting to finally feel like a human again, so hopefully that trend continues. However, it's still disgusting outside, so that's probably playing a little bit into it. Needless to say, I got my steps yesterday, but I did not read all that much. I'm only about 76 pages into The Skin and Its Girl. It is really interesting, but it's also one of those reads that's a little bit more intellectually challenging than I think my brain is ready for. So I might actually at some point today switch over just for a little bit to a graphic novel that was actually just recommended by Alex over at Pucks and Paperbacks. It's called Rabbit Chase, I'm pretty sure, and my library had a digital copy, so I got it out knowing that I might read it sometime this month, and I might just switch over to that just so I feel a little bit more accomplished, and then I can always switch back, because I'm enjoying what I'm reading. It's just really difficult to get through because my brain can only take so much at a time. I'm not a fan of that, but I'm also trying not to beat myself up because, like, it's fine. We're human. Sometimes we need breaks. Also, I did some calculations on my handy-dandy spreadsheet, and at this point I am on track for that stretch goal of 350,000 instead of 300,000 steps. Mind you, this Saturday I'm probably not going to get that many steps, and I know that because this Saturday is the day of my 20th high school reunion, but my best friend and I are not going because, well, they never invited me to parties when I was in high school with them, so why would I go to this one? Also, we'd have to travel, and I thought that I was going to have to go by myself, and I just didn't want to. So instead, we're going to watch movies from early 2004, so like June and before, so movies that would have come out as we were graduating, and it's going to be a fun time, but it also means we're probably going to be sitting most of that day and drinking gin and just being awesome. So part of me knows that I'm doing extra steps now because steps that day probably not going to happen, which also means that I should read extra now because reading that day also probably not going to happen. Hello, I finished work for the day, so I figured I should come outside for the lovely sunshine. I went for my walk this morning because it was the first day it was actually sunny out in the morning, which was great, which was definitely a motivator to get out and go for my walk. And now I've got a little time between now and when I go to a dance class, which means I'm definitely going to get my steps in. Not only walking there will get me most of the way to the 10,000 steps I need for the day, but then also doing the class and walking back. At this point, I'm about halfway through the second group read. I've also read Rabbit Chase yesterday and really enjoyed it. It's an Indigenous retelling of Alice in Wonderland, which was really cool. And then I also started Small Game, which is a story about this woman who is just part of this, basically a show kind of like Survivor, but it's not Survivor. It's only 5 people dropped in the woods for like 6 weeks, and as many people as make it to the end of the 6 weeks win like $100,000, and like everybody wants money because everybody wants money, so they're all trying real hard. I'm only about a third of the way through that one, so I don't know everything that's going to go on with it, but I'm really enjoying it so far. Hello, it's update time because I finally finished another book. I finally finished our second group read, and I really enjoyed it. The thing about this type of book is it felt like it was twice as long, and I feel like I probably only understood or really got half as much as I actually did. The thing is, it's a challenging read, but I'm not saying that makes it a read that you shouldn't read or that it makes it not as good as other things because other things are easier to read or anything like that. It's one of those things where I enjoy giving myself a challenge, but if I had to read like 5 books like this in a row, I would probably be in a slump and I wouldn't be able to read. This book is not told in a linear fashion. This book is told in a very haphazard fashion, but that's on purpose, and I can understand what the book is trying to do with that. And at the same time, that just means that it's going to take me longer to get through it, which means that when I'm trying to do a challenge where I read a bunch of things, it's going to feel maybe a little bit more frustrating than it should, because like I did enjoy reading this book and I have read other books this week, so like I'm doing the thing. It just makes you feel like you're doing less of the thing, if that makes any sense. Listen, sometimes I know I'm smart and sometimes I realize I am not very smart, and this is one of those things that makes me feel not very smart, so that's just a me problem. This is definitely a worthwhile read, but if you're anything like me, it's going to take a lot more brain power than you're used to using. Good afternoon! It is Saturday, which means I am on my way to my best friend's house so we can do a movie marathon of movies that came out in the beginning of 2004, aka 20 years ago, aka today is supposed to be our 20th year anniversary of graduating high school, but we're not going, we're watching movies instead. So, I've got a thing of snacks, I'm on my way. I just needed to tell you that I've actually finished 4 books now. I finished Small Game yesterday while I was walking around, really enjoyed it, and now I'm on to Never Whistle at Night, which isn't exclusively queer, but at least one of the stories is, because I'm into the 3rd story now, and it's definitely got a queer man as the main character, so that's exciting. I also started Black on Both Sides, which is way more academic than I was anticipating, so it's going to be a little bit of a struggle bus for me, but I'm probably going to intersperse it with some reading of some lighter stuff, just so I can maybe get my brain to wrap halfway around it, because I keep reading sentences and having no idea what I read. But for now, I need to go watch movies and revel in the fact that I, in fact, am old. Hi, I haven't updated you for a few days, and that's mostly because I'm still working on Black on Both Sides, which I've got about 70 pages left on, And this is much more dense than I anticipated and also has a lot more to do with not trans issues than I anticipated. It does make some good arguments on how certain texts can be read through a trans lens, and also talks about different forms of transition. But it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be, and it's way more academic than I thought it was going to be, which means, and I feel like this is becoming a running theme this month, I'm probably not understanding everything I'm reading. In fact, I know I'm not, because I will read a sentence and be like, I have no idea what this sentence means at all. So that's fun for me. Something I did not really consider when making my TBR is trying to, make sure that I have a decent amount of fun things and less challenging things for my brain. Like, fiction obviously can be challenging. In fact, the first 2 books I read this month, arguably the second one more so than the first one, pretty challenging. But I never make my TBRs in mind of like things that are going to be too challenging for my brain. I just go, hey, this fits the prompt, let's read it. And I get excited for it because it is something I'm genuinely excited for. And then we get to just past a third of the way through the month and I've only finished, 4 things so far. I did start another book though that I didn't tell you about, and I'm going to use it for my Choose My Own prompt square, and that book is Director's Cut. This is a sapphic book that actually just came out this week as I'm filming this, and it's about this woman who has acted in Hollywood, has also made her directorial debut, and is in academia because she has a PhD in, I want to say, popular cultural music studies, something like that. And she's actually teaching a course in movie musicals, and she meets this woman while she's there, and she has the hots for her, and it's gonna go from there type of thing. This is actually kind of perfect for me just because there are so many references to so many different musicals that I've definitely seen, and then people talking about whether or not they were good and different aspects of the filmmaking process, which was kind of cool. So I am enjoying that. I'm about 70% of the way through. Hope to finish it soon just so I feel a little bit more accomplished with my reading, and then hope to get to more of the stack of books I'm actually supposed to be reading this month. Also about halfway through Never Whistle at Night, and so far I think there's still only been one queer story, but that one queer story for me is going to count for the night prompt for sure. Because I had this grand plan of I'm just going to read this one book during nighttime, and then I had to figure out what nighttime means, and to me it means like when it's dark out. But because in the Northern Hemisphere June happens to be the month with the most light, that's just not gonna work out for me because it doesn't get dark here until like 9:15. Actually, it's not even dark at 9:15. The sun doesn't start going down until 9:15, which means it's not really dark until like 9:40, and I try to go to sleep at 10 so I get enough sleep because I try to get up early and go for walks, etc. I'm exhausted and I still have so much more to read and so much more walking to do. I am doing pretty okay at my walking. I'm actually ahead for my goals, so hopefully that continues. But we'll see. Good morning. I'm really busy doing work, but this makes me happy. My roommate made me this cup for Christmas, and it's me in this robe reading queer books, but as a cat, because that's delightful. Since I talked to you last, I've actually finished 3 books. I finished Director's Cut and I really enjoyed it. I finished Never Whistle at Night, and there was at least one more other queer story in it, so I'm counting it for the night prompt. I don't care what anybody says. And also, in less than 24 hours, I read Page Not Found. This was fantastic. This is my favorite read so far of the Queer Lit Readathon. This is all about a main character named Paige who finds out that her parents have her in this study where she got this chip put into the back of her skull when she thought she was getting a tonsillectomy when she was like 5 years younger, but actually this chip monitors everything about her, and the company that owns that chip is about to merge with this other company that is really known for, not being good about keeping people's private stuff private, and she's like, hell no, I did not consent to this, and goes on an adventure to find the other kids who possibly have chips and then try to take down this billionaire. And also, has some gender and queer feelings along the way, because of course she does, because it's a Gen Wild book and I love that. So yeah, I'm up to 7 books read. I am ahead of my step count. I am going to be really, really busy today, but I did want to let you know that I've made progress. I meant to update you a couple of days ago when it happened, but I finally finished Black on Both Sides, which is great because it took me over a week to read a book that's less than 200 pages when you take out the appendix at the back. I did talk quite extensively about it in my weekly wrap-up, so if you're really interested, it's in weekly wrap-up 389. Since then, I've started in on It Came From the Closet. I'm really enjoying this. This is different stories from different people talking about different horror films and how they relate to queerness, and I'm very much enjoying it. And now I really want to watch a bunch of horror films. And I was really excited to see that Hereditary was one of the films that one of the people was talking about, because that film I watched about a month ago for the first time, and it is interesting and very, very creepy. I also don't know if I ever told you, but I did start reading Kaikei, or listening to Kaikei as an audiobook, whichever verb you want to use. Both of them are reading. I'm a little less than halfway through, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the magic system that we have in here, and how she just kind of stumbled into finding it, and how she's trying to use it to make stronger bonds in her life. I think that's really cool. And that's really about it. I am keeping up on my steps. I am ahead of the mark, but I don't really know how much far ahead I'm going to get in the next, 12, 13 days. Mostly I just need to keep reminding myself that even though I'm ahead right now, doesn't mean I can slack off. And yes, in theory, there are some days where I can get less than 10,000 steps. If I keep telling myself that, then I will just not get my steps. So I'd rather get a little bit more than get less and less and less and then realize I haven't done it. Hi, I've finished some books since last time I talked to you, so I should probably talk about them. Firstly, the anthology that I just read, It Came From the Closet. Absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed seeing these different perspectives on horror, and either making these stories that nobody thought was horror queer, or just finding the queer subtext in stories, or just how you relate to them because of queerness. Absolutely fantastic. I also read a graphic novel that wasn't on my TBR called Snapdragon. Highly recommend this. It's about this kid who finds the local witch, who turns out not really to be a witch, but maybe she actually is. And then there's some deep connection between her family and this witch that she finds out along the way, and it's just lovely. And I also finished Kaikei, which was just absolutely fantastic. If you want to hear more about these three books in particular, they will be in my weekly entertainment wrap-up number 390, which I just filmed, and I need to go edit so I can go to my dance cardio class and get some more steps in, because I'm on track for my stretch goal, but I used to be a little bit more further on track, and now I've been slacking the past couple of days just because it's been so hot and I've been wanting to do absolutely nothing. So I've been keeping up to the 10,000 steps. Actually, it was 9,000 a couple of days ago, which I had extra steps, so it's fine, but also, like, I want to get more steps in, but it's hot and I don't want to do anything. Yay, summer. Hi, I'm almost finished another book and I haven't updated you. I've probably got about 100 pages to go, maybe a little bit less, but I have been reading Tarnished Are the Stars. Really enjoying it, liking to see how we get these three different point of view characters and what they're doing about the situation they find themselves in, which is that there is a new Earth. It's called Earth Adjacent, and they've been trying to terraform it for years, and there's a queen that lives in outer space and is basically waiting until Earth is ready for everyone to come down to Earth and she can reign over all of it. However, she excommunicated her son quite a long time ago, and he's no longer in line for the crown, but he is kind of ruling Earth Adjacent, and he's kind of a dick. Our point of view characters are somebody who lives on New Earth but is not part of that society, then also that commissioner's son, and then also the Eyes of the Queen, this girl that has basically been bred to become whatever the queen needs her to be in the moment. And at current, they're all three working together to try to figure out how to stop the terrible things that the commissioner has been doing. However, that's not exactly why I decided I need to talk to you immediately. Alex just dropped a My Favorite Queer Audiobooks video, and I'm about to watch it, and I kind of figured it'd be fun to go through and see if there's any that I haven't read yet, and then also see if my library has them. So let's do that together, shall we? For brevity, I'm not going to play his whole video, but I am going to link it down below. This is what I'm listening to right now. It was not on my TBR, but it came in as a hold, so why not? Alright, let's get ready for searching. Also, the Libby app is super slow, and I hate it. Sometimes. First is Untranslated Gods by Brian Broom. Not as an audiobook, unfortunately.
There are so many different stories, and I just love the way this is organized.
My library doesn't have that one.
Next is a YA, and this is imaged obviously by Becky Albertalli.
I've already read this one, and it's lovely. If I remember correctly, I read this as a hardback from the library. Or did I buy this one? Either way, I read this one in print.
This is Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Kelly Hibbert.
I've also read this one, and I did read it as an audiobook, and I remember specifically I was reading it when we were in Bucharest in Romania last year. I remember sitting in the park when it was super, super hot. We were sitting in the shade and we were watching this dog kick a pine cone back and forth with their human friend and like down this sidewalk, and it was just really fun.
Love it so much. This is The Deuce and Ruin of Love by Eva Jagadar.
Again, my library doesn't have the audiobook. Dang.
I love this book.
I adore Lao Tzu. I think I might have listened to this one as an audiobook, and I actually just finished the prequel yesterday, which doesn't strictly count for the Queer Lit Readathon, although there are a couple of queer characters, and I really enjoyed seeing that side representation, but they were side characters, so I'm not going to count it as something for the Queer Lit Readathon. But Chenet Lende is definitely fantastic. You should read it, as is Lao Tzu.
My recommendation is Homely by Denise Smith.
This is a poetry collection, and I read it in print.
Told in the 7 days leading up to the funeral of his stepfather. And
This is another audiobook that I have greatly enjoyed.
where we go from here, my book is real high.
I have also read this book. I'm thinking I read this one in print, though. Possibly ebook. I don't think I listened to it as an audiobook, but I don't remember, honestly.
It is so wholesome.
Pooh.
Hi, a Breakfast Club retelling As You Walk On By Julian Winters.
Nope. None of these are the book I asked for. Darn. I adore Julian Winters, and I've been meaning to eventually get to this book, and this is possibly why it hasn't happened, because my library doesn't have it as a digital copy.
If you want a short book, this is perfect. It is Vinna by Secret.
I've definitely read this one before. It's great, as is Defect, which is the second one, or the prequel. I can't... Actually, they take place around the same time, so I don't know. It's the second book in the series. It was the second one that was published, and I didn't know there were audiobooks for them, so that's great. Sorry, there were sirens, and I was just like, I got all frazzled by it. The second one is definitely narrated by somebody who's narrated a lot of audiobooks and been in, like, TV and movies and that type of stuff, but not a name that I can be like, oh, it was this guy from this thing, so take that as you will. I had to take a break because I had some work come in, and then also I made mashed potatoes because I'm an adult and I can have that for lunch if I want to. Alright, I'm really hoping to get at least one thing out of this video that I haven't read and my library has.
I love this book so much.
Oh, come on, Libby, you're killing me.
This is just pure vibes.
I have read this also in hardcover. I have a copy of this downstairs. I have not read the second book yet, and I think it's just a duology. Somebody tell me.
Because my camera died.
Okay, I got really excited because I figured maybe I'd find a new audiobook that I can add to my list. It's fine. Alex and I have a lot of the same taste, and then my library just failed me. But I figured it would be fun to take you on this adventure, so that's what I did. Hi, just a quick update to say that I finished my 12th book. I'm now reading my 13th book, which is appropriately Queer 13, and I have surpassed my 300,000 step goal, so we're gonna go for 350,000 and see how we do. Popping in to update you that I am visiting family, so I'm in a different location, obviously, but I finished my 13th book, which was Queer 13, so I've finished all of the prompts on the bingo board with those, and then just for extra credit, I also finished my audiobook, which was The Z Word, which could also count for creepy queers, but I've already covered that space. I've already covered all the spaces. I don't know how much walking I'm gonna get done while I'm here, but I'm definitely gonna try to push to get over that stretch goal because it's so close. Hello! As I mentioned yesterday, I'm currently up island because I'm visiting family and just wanted to get out of the house, that type of thing. And I have about I'm a little under 20,000 steps for my stretch goal. The thing is, it's gross weather all weekend, so if I want to get them in, I gotta get them in while it's raining. So, Chad has gone to a cafe. I'm going to walk around the air park, which is a place that I love walking when I'm in the Comox Valley, just because it's a nice loop. You can do it as many times as you want. There's beautiful scenery. I also have a history of walking it because back in the gap year that I took between high school and university, when I was saving up to actually be able to go to university, there was this sign at a gym I went to for somebody to help this woman walk because she was legally blind. So once or twice a week I would pick her up at her place. We'd go to the air park, walk around a couple of times. We'd go to Tim Hortons, get some ice caps, and I'd drop her back off. And it's just such a lovely location. If it's not raining too hard to take out my camera, I'll show you some of the views that you get while you're walking this area. And I just figure it's a good way to maybe meet my stretch goal or maybe even surpass it, depending on what the rain is doing. Also, of course, I'm going to be listening to a book while I do it, and that's Dead Girls Walking. I haven't started it yet, but it looks like it's a YA black lead queer horror story, and I'm here for all of those things. the last day of the Queer Lit Readathon. I started another book, but I'm not going to finish it. I did start the massive graphic novel that I meant to read for the graphic novel prompt, and then I ended up reading something else, and that is I'm So Glad We Had This Time Together. I got about a quarter of the way through. I am very much enjoying it. The art style is really interesting, and I'm enjoying this person's story. It's not actually a graphic novel, it's a graphic memoir, but potato potato. That means that both that and Dead Girls Walking will just be carried over into July, and that means that I finished 14 books for the Queer Lit Readathon, as well as finishing an additional 2 that don't count towards any of the prompts. And as of sometime last night, I also surpassed my stretch goal for walking, so that's great. I'm going to go to dinner with my roommates, which means that I've got more walking to do. So after this clip, I will insert what my total was after midnight hit, so I can get the absolute total number of steps that I took. But I'm pretty proud of myself, and I've got another challenge lined up for myself for July, August, and half of September to get some more activity in, so this was a good warm-up for me. Thank you so much for coming along on this adventure. If you're interested in reading queer all year, we have prompts every month that you can choose to do or not, or just read queer books all year round. The 14th round of the Queer Lit Readathon will be the first week in December, so I hope to see you then. That's it for this reading vlog. If you've read any of these or you're now interested in reading any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me a books emoji down in the comments below. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!